as well. Are we
Recording.
recording yet? All right,
Yes, we are just now.
we're recording. So today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. It is 6:44. And I am calling to order the meeting of the Community Safety and Social Justice Committee, Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extended through June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote or hybrid manner. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so via Zoom or by telephone. See instructions below. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. I just want to thank everybody for their patience with our Zoom difficulty, and also thank Philip and Camille for addressing it as quickly as they could, so that we can continue to meet. So I will go over our agenda and then we will start the meeting. I know, I believe Everald has a hard stop at 8, so
I do, thank
a
you.
lot to get through, and we might have to not get through it all. So let's see. We will go over announcements, minutes, member reports, public comment, CRESS and DEI updates, visioning session report, budget request, Rob, youth empowerment, retreat planning, meeting with town council, public comment, items not anticipated. Does anybody have any announcements?
I do. I sent to everyone just information about that Valley CDC is taking applications for people interested in the Amherst Community Homes. I also included this for Angel, so Angel can put it into our minutes. The application process for the homes has not yet opened, but at least if people are interested, they can submit a form, an interest form. They are doing marketing and they are actively marketing for the BIPOC community. There's lots of information and links with the information that I sent. So people can look on the Valley CDC's website, but they're getting close. So people should literally submit their form of interest. And also there's going to be a session on September 18th, which is next week. So
Erica, I don't know if it's your phone, but there's a lot of static in there. It sounds better now. And I saw your email, and thank you for that. And I think I had when the ZBA approved this housing community, I think I had mentioned it here. And I'm glad that you found the information and you emailed it to all of us. I would also suggest that we invite Valley CDC to one of our meetings so they can do a presentation, because this is meant to target BIPOC people. I know the houses are, I think it's 32 if I remember correctly when we approved it. It is income driven. It is, I believe we voted for a local preference, which first, which means that Amherst people will get first pick. And, you know, so it's a great opportunity. The houses are wonderful. We did our very best to make sure that anyone who gets this house feel like, you know, it's not just, it will not feel like we didn't put care and thought into it. They're going to be very well built. It's a new community that's been built in North Amherst. We thought of as best as we could to make sure it was welcoming and warm. Valley CDC, their proposal was amazing. They're doing a very wonderful job with this. They've done this in other Western Massachusetts communities. And I believe they've done one in Amherst before as well. So I very much welcome and encourage people to get in on that, because it is a lottery-based system at first for, but again, it is income driven. So people should not feel like they won't qualify or won't be able to afford these homes. Because again, there's lots of programs out there, first-time buyers. So if we can invite them here, I think that'll be very great for the community to have a direct presentation targeted at the community.
That's a really good idea, Everald. And I know there's somebody who's in charge of like their outreach and marketing for this project particularly. So I will double back and find her name and I can see if she can come. Because I think that would be a good partnership to bolster. Philip has an announcement.
I was just gonna say that it's online, so anybody that's reaching out to you all individually can now access the meeting online.
Thank you. I actually was going to make an announcement about tomorrow we are having our Affordable Housing Trust meeting online as well. And on the agenda, it appears that Philip and Pamela will be giving a more in-depth presentation about the visioning report because there is a piece that addresses housing in there. So if people don't hear enough tonight, there's another opportunity tomorrow at another committee meeting to hear a little bit more about some of that work. So that all is on the town website as well, where you find the link for these meetings. So if you want more, you can come tomorrow and learn more about the visioning report. And let's see, are there any other announcements? I mean, I know next week is the block party. I don't know if we have our act together enough to do anything about that, but it's happening on next Thursday downtown. So
Yeah, hopefully we can help table like with I don't know, with Crest or DEI or what have you, like we've done in the past. But I'm assuming we can talk more about it when DEI and Crest do their updates. But I think that's something that CSSJC has done in the past, so hopefully there's opportunity to do it again.
any other announcements that aren't going to be covered in other areas like Crest or DEI? All right. Moving to minutes, there were a lot of minutes in the packet, I feel like. Does anybody want to make any amendments and or motions related to minutes? Erica.
There are a couple of corrections, like the May 14th, I had actually made some corrections, but they ended up, I think, being the same minutes. But I think the only one that's really important in terms of information-wise is the question, and that would be under Crest update, under Camille, actually. It said DMH, and I do believe it's DPH. I just think it's important that we have that correct in there. Those are for the May 14th minutes. And the July 11th minutes, I think it's Evelyn Aquino, Aquino, not Kino, Kino. So I just think it's important for us to have names, which is hard, of course, for Angel to capture if she's looking at our listening to our conversation. And then there was just something that said STEAM, and I think it meant STEM, but I wasn't sure, but it didn't make any sense to me. Under also DEI updates in terms of working with students. And other things, the small little things. Oh yeah, also under public comment, under Martha Hanner, it's Kathy Schern, CATHYS, the last name SCHOEN. So I'm just trying to make sure that the names are correct. And then under the minutes for July 9th, I think we discussed the quorum of being 3 out of 5 versus 5 out of 7, because we are 5. So we really sort of, I think we discussed having 3 out of 5 there. And I think that's it, but I just thought those were important to make sure they got corrected.
Okay.
Overall, they're minor. I think we still can vote on it. It's just, I just think the names need to be correct.
And are those writing things that you would be willing to pass along to Angel?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which I've done in the past.
Perfect. So does anyone want to make a motion to approve minutes as amended?
So moved.
Thank
I
you, Everald.
second.
Thank you, Deborah. So we will vote. Everald,
Aye.
Deborah,
Yes.
Erica.
Yes.
And I am a yes, so we can approve those minutes with amendments. Do- Let's see, next is member reports. Any member reports?
Well, we'll talk more about it when we kind of get to a variety of different things, but we'll update that Lynn, we were able to get through to Lynn, the town council president and chair, and started talking about the town council meeting, but we'll discuss that more. We had like a pre-meeting, and now she's saying she wants us to have another pre-meeting, which obviously for us, we're like, no, we just want to have a town council meeting at this point. But that is kind of crawling along, slowly. The other one is just, ICE has been in our community. So over these past, because I haven't actually attended CSIJC for the past 2 months, but over these past 2 months, been, helping different families that have been impacted by ICE in our community, by people that have been deported because of ICE. And so for us, that needs to be a conversation too, in terms of how are we, CSSJC, going to be supportive of these actions that are taking place in Amherst, and that our most marginalized and vulnerable populations are being impacted. People are afraid, afraid to go to work, afraid to go to school. They're being surveyed. I've gotten calls from people saying that they've seen cars, those cars that look like, ICE and so on and so forth, circulating in our community. It's terrifying. People are terrified. And when the Supreme Court is basically saying that, ICE has the right to just look at people, and however they look, they can just stop them and detain them, I'm in trouble. Any of us who look like me, we're in trouble. My kids are in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I'm just like, this is real. This is serious. People's, families are being, dismantled, that have kids and parents and aunts and uncles and so on and so forth. So what are we in Amherst, besides being a sanctuary town, what else are we doing to help these families? That's what I want to know. I mean, obviously, I'm doing what I can, during my time, but I want to know what Amherst, the town of Amherst, is doing to be protective of these folks in our community that are being attacked and impacted by ICE and other entities.
Thanks for bringing that up, Deborah. I think that it might be another area where we try and get somebody in, maybe from like the Luce hotline or the Western Mass Asylum Network, to try and talk a little bit about some of the steps the community can take. I know that's putting it still on the people as opposed to the government, but I mean, I'm not
What is the town
super
doing? I want
trusting.
to know what the town is doing.
Right. And I think, having somebody from the police come in and say, this is our protocol when we are alerted, if we are alerted. I don't remember who told me, but somebody was telling me like DPW is the person or the department that gets the first alert from ICE that they're going to be in town, which seemed really weird. I was like, and I don't remember like where that came from, or like why that would be the case. But so again, those are questions like, is there a chain of command that is gone through, or do they just show up and not tell anybody? Or Philip, do you have any insight?
The town is not alerted at any department, any juncture. No one gets, Ting doesn't get an alert, Paul doesn't get an alert. It's
Okay, but once they're in town and we know they're in town and they've been spotted in town and they've impacted families and they've done things, what is the town doing?
I think right now it is non-cooperating, and I think that I'm no lawyer or expert in this field, and so I can't give you any more answer to that. I just know that we're just told not to cooperate from our sanctuary city bylaw.
Well, like Allegra said, we need to call in. I want to know from the police what that means, right? Their non-cooperation. What does that entail? What does that mean? What the protocol? I think it would be good to invite them to our next meeting, to have a representative here to explain to us what that means. Because it's one thing to say that we're a sanctuary town, but I want to know what that actually means, and I want our community to be educated on what that means.
And
And
for any activity that you would like to see from at least the police's end, the bylaw, it's either 3.3 or 3.9, you'll have to forgive me, but whatever bylaw it is for the sanctuary city, G or H indicates that any 3 registered voters of the town of Amherst can request that information from the police chief that then would give it to the town manager to present to the council. So that would be answering, what activity has been done in a time frame. And it could be none, it could be some, and it would just be, hey, I showed up on this date. This is what we did. This is what happened.
yeah, but this would be for them to present it to the town council, you said? So
Right.
Tate would tell the town manager, then present it to the town council?
Correct. That's how the bylaw is written.
Okay, that's good. But I want them to come to our meeting too, so that we can ask them. So that we can educate our population. Because not a lot of our population doesn't attend the town council meeting. So. And obviously, I want to thank Everald for being a great assistance during this time. You've been just awesome in terms of just referrals and being helpful. I know I've been sharing your name
Yeah.
with people, sending people your way to kind of then send them to, and get them the help they need. So I just wanted to kind of shout out Everald because you're awesome.
It's been difficult. It's been challenging for people, and to your earlier point with the whole race-based stop and frisk, which is exactly what it is now. Yeah, I find it fascinating. It's make things even more scary for people, and so I agree. We should have some knowledge that we can pass along to the community as to what our town is doing, and I know, they are going to say we're complying with federal laws, and of course, we're not asking them to break the law, but there needs to be some clarity as to what we are as a town. Are we assisting? I mean, we can't actively prevent or block, but what information are we passing on to our community, and what are we doing to help our residents? And so, yes, I agree. We should have someone here to answer those questions for us from the police.
I'm just gonna look at the date for our next meeting.
Next meeting is the 8th.
October 8th. So would somebody like to reach out to the police and see if they want to come, or do you want me to do it? Or is there someone at the police in particular that might be a good contact?
I can try.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, great. Thanks, Everald.
And then just kind of looking at, since we did talk about Valley CDC, should I see about November for them? Does that
I
make
mean, if
sense?
they're on this marketing spree, I mean, this would be part of marketing. So, just I would say see if they can come October. as
Okay.
well. And if they can, then, try to do November, ma'am.
Okay.
Decision is 2 weeks. Sorry, just writing down my notes for myself. Are there any other member reports? So we can move on to public comment. There will be a second additional public comment at the end. So I see one hand up and there is one other member in the audience. So I will bring Martha in.
Thank you. That's Martha Hanna from District 5. I'd like to make 2 comments, if I may. First, from the Amherst League of Women Voters Racial Justice Committee, I want to say that we are in the process of preparing a progress report assessing all of the original CSWG recommendations and looking to see 4 years on, what has been implemented, how is it working, what hasn't been implemented, how does it look at the present time, and so on. This is definitely just a work in progress at the moment. We're hoping to have it completed by early October so that it can be material to be used for the town council candidate forums and so on. But I would appreciate being able to talk with some of you individually, offline, get your assessment on a couple of things. I've reached out to Deborah, but others of you, if you would be willing to have a short conversation with me just offline to give me your views, I would really appreciate it. Deborah has my email if you don't, and just reach out to me. That would be appreciated. Yeah, I don't want to say too much more at the moment because we're definitely in progress and we got our fingers crossed. It's a big job, and so we're working on it and hope that that will help make a contribution for all of us. And the other thing then I wanted to say regarding the ICE, Ronnie Parker, is the current chair of the Human Rights Commission. She's away out of town now, but when I last spoke with her, she said that she has been in conversations with some of the immigration rights groups in the area, and they are arranging to set up some kind of an open forum with the ACLU to do just the kinds of things that you folks are talking about, i.e., what can people here in the community do? What's legal, what's not, what's the experience? And I've heard the ACLU person talk. There was a forum here last November in Jones Library that I went to, and it was excellent, I thought. So I would recommend trying to follow up with that. I don't really know who the contact is. As I say, Ronnie Parker is out of town on that. But I will also say from my conversations around town, including one informal conversation one time with Lynn Griesemer and with a couple other members of the council, is we want to keep it, kind of under the radar. We don't want to have big discussions at town council that then call ICE's attention to Amherst. So my recommendation is to be a little bit careful of what kinds of discussions you want the town council to have publicly, that it may be better to do things, by making use of the ACLU or smaller conversations and so on with people. That's just a suggestion. Yeah, Errol knows better, I'm sure, but okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. So we are taking public comment now. You can use the raise hand function and we will have public comment at the end of the meeting if you don't want to say anything now, but you want to say something later. There are 4 meeting attendees.
And again, we do want to apologize to everyone for the delay. We just had some technical difficulties, so there will be public comment again at the end of our meeting.
Yes. Not seeing any other hands currently. I think we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Crescent DI updates.
Okay, I'm going to go first to share. See if I can get this right. Oh, good. Okay. Come on. So, as you had in your packet, I just wanted to highlight for others that didn't necessarily see it. This is our September newsletter. And if you'll notice at the top right under September 2025, there is a QR code for our resource guide. And also we have QR codes for how to get the newsletter in your box. The newsletter is left strategically in town offices. We also bring them with us when we respond to calls and also to events. This is a new feature we have. Well, we have What is Crest Up To, which shows what happened during the month of July. And then the new feature we have is Crest Call Corner that highlights the calls of interest. So the first one is about a person experiencing houselessness who was worried about being stopped or arrested by the police as they had an active warrant. And Crest supported them and helped them with their legal issues, which is just demonstrates how community-based alternatives can reduce harm and increase access to justice. And the second one is a neighbor whose phone was stolen off the table in a local Amherst restaurant. And when they went to the police here in Amherst, they were able to ping it, but it was not in Amherst. It was actually in a neighboring town. So Amherst PD told them to call the PD there, and the PD there were unable to help them at that moment. So Crest was able to take them over to where they pinged the phone local, and they were able to find the phone through the pinging of the phone, and it was in a mailbox. So they returned it to the neighbor, brought him back to Crest, and all was well. Here's the last 2 pages of the newsletter where we talk about community outreach, the Sharps disposal that is right on the building, so that there has been less needles found around the Bangs Community Center. And we've also put up a notice in the garage because there were needles found in the garage. And this way people are able to access safe needle disposal. The other part that we're highlighting is the block party, which is next Thursday from 5 to 9 p.m. The last thing on this is that NANA, Never Alone, Never Again, and that is a 24/7 group of Narcotics Anonymous. And this is to help people to stop using, to find a new way to live. And QR code, it's Zoom. It is 24/7, so that if someone is having difficulty, this is an easier access for them during the wee hours of the night when people are not usually around. So the block party next week will be tabling by the Fire Station with the rest of the Town of Amherst departments. We will also be present by walking among the crowd, connecting with neighbors. The new coloring book will be available that describes what Crest is, what Crest does, and how we can assist. It also has a QR code, our number, and our hours on it. And there's also going to be a Crest coloring page contest available at the block party where we will have prizes given out. Crest Day is set. It's going to be at Mill River from 12 to 4. And currently attending, we have Senator Joe Comerford is coming at noon, Lynn Griesmeyer, Hala Lord for our town council members, and our town department, DEI, Pamela Young, and Philip Avila. There are others that are trickling in that I've personally invited. So I've invited all of the town council. I've invited other members of dignitaries, etc. I've also put it out to the Black community, and I still have a list to go through of the Black churches and other organizations. The Black Business Association, I'm BBAAA. I emailed them today about attending. So I'm hoping we have a nice turnout to talk about, Crest, where we are, where we're going. Come on. So the schedule's still in progress, but right now it's set for Senator Comerford to arrive around noon. We'll have a short program at that time. During that time also, we'll be tabling and community engagements throughout the time. Barbecue food will be ready for and served from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. Then we'll have another program at 1:30 to 2:15 where I'll speak about Crest. Invited guests will be allowed to speak. After that is cleanup. We'll have engaging talks with folks. As there's another event starting at 4, so we'll be all cleaned up by 3:30. We'll also be going through, and there will be posters of work that Crest has done. Responders will be there to speak to neighbors about what we're doing, how we're doing it. We will also have some crafts and some games for the kids to keep them. And we do have a DJ. I wrote his name down on another paper. We do have a DJ and the sound system set up. So I think it's going to be a really great day. And I'm looking forward to all the engagements with the people in the neighborhood. Also, I wanted to let you all know that the Creft dispatch draft is completed. On Friday, September 5th, I submitted my final draft of the dispatch policy to the town manager, Amherst Police Department, and the Amherst Emergency Communications Center. And right now, I'm waiting for them to review. So Crest, Town of Amherst, and other participation. As of now, in July, we did the ribbon cutting for Jones Library at 101 University Drive. This is one of the main places that we go for diversion, as now that they are closer to Big Y and the encampment that is behind there, they are seeing an influx of people in the library. So we are there to provide support, de-escalation, mediation, and things of that. The vet breakfast for July was the largest one with over 30 vets and neighbors. And also during July, we met with Hampshire College staff to discuss how Crest responds to mental health and other calls, and to aid their, and I don't know what they're called, their staff and their police with how they handle mental health calls. In August, we met with a group concerning ICE in Amherst, discussing what Crest can do and what we're not allowed to do. As we are Amherst employees, the only thing we can do is to make sure that the people around are safe and to notify anyone that we can. We also did the Arms Backpack community engagement, the community breakfast at UMass networking event, and the bi-monthly vet breakfast. September, today we had the off-campus life event, and the vet breakfast was last Friday. So also the Town of Amherst assessment by Turi Research. There is a hyperlink available if you go to the top of the Town of Amherst website on the Crest icon, click into that, and it's one of the first ones that you click on to read. It's approximately 70 pages long. And also I've included the direct link here so that people can access it later if they wish. And I want to thank you. Any questions?
I don't have questions. I just want to say that that piece about taking that community member to the courthouse, I think that was absolutely amazing, and I'm glad you guys were able to do so, because that's one of the biggest issues with people in courts. It's not that they don't want to go, is that they don't have the means to get there, and then it triggers this ripple effect that just makes things so much harder for them. And I know that bus number 45, I memorized it, goes from here to Belchertown. But once they pick up the kids, there's this big gap. If you miss it, you are so unfortunate, and court's calendar is so strict. So I'm glad that there's an avenue, and I'm very hopeful that this is something that you guys can continue to do, because it makes such a big difference in people's lives. And quite frankly, sometimes for the most part, it is literally something small that they have to go there for, but because they don't show up, there's a warrant that triggers fines and fees and all these other harsh penalties that they can't get out of. So again, I thought that was great. I just want to say that. So thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say, because I wasn't able to put it into the Crest calls, that actually this person ended up going to the Belchertown court system, and while they were there, found out that they also had warrants in Northampton. And if they weren't able to get there by 3 p.m. that day, there was a good chance they were going to be arrested. So the Crest responders actually took them to 2 courthouses and took care of all of their problems. And to the benefit of the Belchertown court system is that they told this neighbor that they had additional warrants instead of just letting them not know about it. So it was really a great collaboration for them to be able to assist this neighbor and get this done for them. So they didn't have to worry about it anymore.
So I can tell you, and this is not commonplace for all courthouses, but the people in Belchertown are absolutely wonderful and amazing. They will help you. If you walk in there looking for help, they will genuinely assist you. And the clerk is an Amherst person, a wonderful person who, to your point, will say, "Hey, you have a warrant in this court," and I've seen them. They make calls on behalf of people to ask questions and to see. And in the alternative, they say, "Okay, this person cannot be there today at 3. Can they come at 9 o'clock in the morning?" They will do those kinds of things. So I can attest that the Belchertown clerk's office is actually very wonderful to work with. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Deborah.
Deborah?
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Camille, for the report. I do have a few questions. So the Crest Day is on the 21st, right? Not on the 13th. You're not having anything on Saturday, right?
No,
Just
it's
for
Sunday
some-
the 21st.
Okay, it's on the 21st. And then also, I mean, if us CSSJC folks go, are you willing to kind of, introduce us and stuff?
Yes.
And-
Well, that's why I've invited you all. That's what I
Awesome.
put the email out, and this is why I said this is, to acknowledge the people that have supported us. I mean, that's the main reason for this, is to get it out there to people. Here's what Crest is, here's what Crest is doing, here's how things have evolved, and here's what we plan to do in the future.
Okay, yeah, because I'd like to attend, and it would be good if any of us CSSJC folks attend, to also, if you could fold us in. So what time would you want us there? Because then, obviously then you can introduce us too, just to say, hey, we're part of CSSJC, because then it's another connection to the community and stuff like that.
I would really love for folks to get there for 12 noon, so that should, Senator Comerford comes, that, we will have a great amount of people to be there to, one, welcome her and show the support. Because when I spoke to her at the community breakfast, she was so supportive of alternative response. She talked about how she had someone that she knew in Northampton that the DCC was able to help, and she truly believes in this. So we're still working on that line item for the money in the budget, waiting to see if that goes through. but she is a staunch supporter of alternative response.
Okay, good, good, good. Happy to hear that. Okay, yeah, so I'll definitely plan to be there for 12 then. And then hopefully if other CSSJC members, if you all can make it, which hopefully some of you can, just let Camille know, because then it's another opportunity for us to be supportive of CREST, as well as, you know, engage with the community and let the community know that we're there so that they can engage with us too. And then I have another question. This is on dispatch. So, okay, so the draft, you all got the draft in. So you got the draft into the police, the town manager. Did you get it into town legal too?
No, what it has to do is it has to be go through APD and the ECC dispatch, okay, with any corrections or anything like that. And from there, the town manager will then send it to legal. So I've
Okay.
done my part of it. And I want to let folks know that I took this and based it off of, I was given a copy of APD's, their dispatch, how they dispatch for levels of calls, and also from the dispatch policy. So what I did was I based ours off of theirs.
Okay. So I guess what would be like the timetable with this? You know, is there, because obviously, we've all been anxiously awaiting for this. Obviously, Crest has been kind of judged and even put in certain, situations because of not having, calls dispatched. So there's a real urgency in regards to this happening. So what I'm saying is that I don't want this then to just go into the APD, go into dispatch, because again, we've received so many different versions of where things were at and who was doing what, that it's been an utter confusion. And the point of the matter is that yet and still, calls are not being dispatched from APD, which is a huge problem. So yeah, so what is the timetable for this? Because, this basically needs to happen yesterday, as far as I know, like the community is concerned. So do you have any idea?
I don't have a timetable. I know my internal timetable was to get this to the town manager before he went on vacation, and I did that part. And now it is up to APD to do their part of it. And I can't speak on, that part. But I do know that when the town manager returns next week, I will have another meeting with him with regards to this.
Okay.
Because I too believe that this is very important. And from when I was hired, it was under my major things to get done. So, and this time, having been here now over a year, I was able to get a better grasp on what policies and what the policies were and how they were written. And like I said, I recreated it in the same style.
Okay, yeah, because, again, and I mean, I know you've heard this, I'm just saying it just to put it out to the community and everything. The fact that CREST is an alternative to policing, and we want that focus on safety and for people to be able to rely on CREST as an alternative to policing, because especially during this time with everything going on in our nation and in our communities, people want to rely on CREST more and more as opposed to having to call the police, I think there
Yes.
was even that comment in the visioning report, which I know we're going to talk about, where the person is just like, I'm just praying I don't need to call the police today type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be commonplace that people can rely on CREST if they're going through some type of situation, obviously borrowing, including violence and things like that. But anything short of violence, that they are able to turn to CREST. And so, one of the ways is if the police is cooperating, if the police is actually dispatching those calls and not sending the police out there when those calls should be CREST that should be getting those calls. And so that was always a CSWG visioning. That was always a CSWG recommendation, was that CREST be that department. And so we want to make sure that that is what we see. Those calls are coming in, the dispatch is being made, as opposed to what we've been seeing, which I'm putting it out there, which is the police resistance, the police not wanting this to happen, that not wanting calls dispatched to CRESS to minimize CRESS's impact, and and obviously continue to have the police respond to these other calls, which is not what is supposed to happen. That's why CRESS was created. And so this is going to be something that we're going to be monitoring and bringing up every month. And in between the months, we'll be contacting the town manager too and the town council to let them know that this is going on, because the buck stops here in terms of this not happening. This has been too long and too much resistance and by the town and by the police for this not to happen. And
And I
then,
can understand, and I understand people's frustration. And that's why it was very important for me to get this done.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And then lastly, so I guess the Tory research, I know obviously I haven't been at the meeting for the past 2 months. So, and I saw from the notes from the meeting in July, which I was away in July, that there was going to be an assessment of CRESS, I guess, or something. And
It's a
then,
town assessment. It wasn't an assessment of CRESS.
Oh,
It was an
okay.
assessment of town. And what it
Mhm.
was Turie Research came in, and what we did is we did 3 engagements. We did one with elders
Okay.
at Ann Whalen, I think that was. One at Ancestral Bridges. We were really thankful for them to be able to do that for the BIPOC community. And then the third one was held at the ILC with the folks from Craig Stores. So there was 3 parts of it, and it was on Amherst needs. And I don't think that anyone was surprised with what came out of it. But if you, like I said, I put the link up there and it's also on our website. And I can send it to anybody who, has difficulty trying to access it. Just send an email to Cress and I can send them the link so that they can read it themselves.
So yeah, so that's what happened. I guess confusion is that I wasn't able to open the link. I know I tried and I wasn't able. So if you're able to send me that,
Yes.
I would really appreciate it, because yeah, and so I haven't read it, and that's why I really didn't know much about it.
Did you try the link that was sent to you with the packet? Because the link
Yeah,
is
that's the
also in the
one.
packet. It didn't come
Yeah.
through.
For me
Okay.
anyway, for me it didn't. I think for others it did, because one you know person was able to was saying, Deborah, did you read the Turie report? And I was just like, what report? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
it's
I'm
also
reading.
if you want to access it through the Crest link, the Crest page on the town
Okay.
website, you'll also be able to see it there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that.
So
Okay,
this
the
is why it's put in also, and you can see also the link is in the newsletter. So it's in multiple places, so to get the most reach.
Okay, yeah, I must have missed it on the newsletter. I did read your newsletter, but I must have missed it. So I guess without having read it, and maybe we can put this on the agenda again for next time, this Tory research, because you said it's 70 pages or whatnot. So
70 pages, and it is qualitative and quantitative research. There are a lot of quotes from people about the things and the needs that are lacking in the town of Amherst and things that are going well. So it's more than just one. Okay, get down. Excuse me.
Yeah, so yeah, so that would be good. I mean, I guess read just a few little things, which again, talk about like just, the need for CRESS and,
Mhm.
BIPOC, fears and over policing and things like that. I mean, I did read some of that. So, so I think we should put this on the agenda again, just to kind of delve more into it. And I guess my last question around the Tory report is, so what is going to be the outcome of this? So now this assessment has taken place. There's some, what was written in terms of, okay, assessing these 3 areas, in terms of elders, so on and so forth. So what are the next steps?
That is beyond my pay grade.
Okay,
So
so that's
that
like the
is,
town
that was
manager?
given to, it was given to the town manager and also was given to the town council.
Oh, okay, so town manager and town council have this. Do you know if it's going to be on the town council's meeting agenda next or anything like that?
I
Don't
don't know.
know. Okay. All right, great. Okay, good to know. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Deborah.
Question. Thank you.
I see Erica with a hand up, and I just want to make a note of the time that it's 7:34 for Everald's sake. So
Yep, I'll be quick. I had pretty much the same questions as Deborah did, but I did have one other question, which was in the newsletter. I think it was noted that you had something like a 60% decrease in engagements. Is that correct? And if it is, can you just explain what you think happened?
The only thing I can, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, which would be, wait, I'm looking back. The engagements, well, part of the problem, well, it's July. This is from July. So most of our engagements are done. July is a very like calm month because there are no students around. A lot of people are on vacation. So there's less things happening in town. Whereas last month and this month, there was a lot of back to school events happening. And then this month, there's a lot of back to college and the block party and like all these other things that are happening that we're going to. So that's where most of those are coming from. Also, one of the things that is happening a lot more is when we talk about like assist neighbors, due to the current administration and finances, that we're finding a lot more people are coming to us needing Salvation Army vouchers for food, emergency food, and emergency needs from the Salvation Army store. So those have increased greatly, and we've talked to like our partners at the Survival Center to steer people to the Survival Center to sign up, especially for the people that are in town. We have taken people over there to get some food who were elders and less ambulatory. And right now, I found out that their delivery list is pretty full because they do, and I'm not sure of how many, but many, many boxes to deliver. So, also, I don't know if you know that the senior center new director started on Monday, Lisa, I'm like Philip Berchata, begins with a B. So we'll be working with her because a lot of the people also that we're seeing are elders. So this way we can be more collaborative to figure out, what is a CRESS call versus what is actually something that is senior service based.
Thank you. I would just suggest that, I know it's hard because newsletters, you have to be concise, but to have a little asterisk when there's a major decrease to just, I mean, it makes sense. July is a different, a quieter month. It's just that, I think anytime anyone picks up one of your newsletters, people will either be very supportive of you or have those questions say, hey, what happened? So just a little asterisk on the bottom saying these are the reasons why we saw such a major decrease.
Right. Because June was a very busy month. And then you also have to remember, depending what it is that we're doing. So say like the block party for next month, when you read, September is going to be really busy because we've done so many events. We've done the back to school along with the vet breakfast that are averaging 20 to 30 people bi-monthly, and then also the block party. So that's a huge increase. So when it's weighted against each other. And actually, I think it is on not this one, but other ones that we've mentioned, that the huge decrease like from April, because March was the major party for St. Patrick's Day, etc. So thank you.
well, thank you, Camille, for that update, and hopefully we'll see you twice next week at the block party and rest day.
Oh, I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it.
So I guess we can move on to the DEI update.
Yep, and I will be quick because I know Everall has to go in 20 minutes. So I just want to make you all aware of the end of year report that we released. I believe it was in July. Time is flying by, so I'm losing track of that, but hopefully you all saw it. And if not, it is on our website. It's in our July newsletter, and I can also send it to you if you would really like for me to send it to you. The department is going to be getting a fourth board commission committee that we will be staff liaison for, which is the Amherst Black Reparations Committee. So that will be me and Pamela splitting up the two of our times to make that happen. Outreach events, as Camille has said, we've done the outreach events for the public schools, for UMass, for Amherst College, as well as the block party. You all should have just got an email from me a few minutes ago with the Sign Up Genius. Of course, we would love to have you all at the block party with us like we have done in the past, as well as with the Human Rights Commission. So there are still slots to sign up to do so. The department is working on a strategic plan with a coach that we have gotten through a grant previously before my tenure here at the department. So we are working with that, and we are hoping to release that in October. That is the hope for that, but we shall see what happens. The DI newsletter goes out every month. Please share it with whoever, and if anybody wants to get added onto the list, have them email me, and that is an easy thing to do. And this month we're restarting up our staff workshops for DEI. Those are given once a month on various topics to staff members. And next month, then we will start our department training, which is more of a focus on a particular topic that we go into departments. So we'll go to fire, we'll go to police, we'll go to Jones area where we hopefully can have a good conversation around DEI topics. And then let's see, what else do I have written down? The department secured a $5,000 grant from MACC for the Amherst Global Village Festival. So we're going to be having the Amherst Global Village Festival, which is our multicultural event that we hosted for the first time last year. That will be continuing, and that will be sometime in April. I don't want to give a date yet because we're focusing on 2 dates. So I don't want to say something and then it change, but sometime in April is when we're looking to have that happen. And then lastly, because I know that the vision report is on there later, so I'll wait to talk about that. The department is still working on youth programming, and that is being directed through last year through the survey that we sent out to the youth that had over 100 responses on of kind of what topics it is that they're looking for. So if you remember, and if not, the top 3 topics were college preparedness and readiness, financial literacy, and life skills, which is anything looking, from cooking, understanding how to do things, that just you don't normally get taught in life and in terms of that. So we are trying to do something in October that will focus on college readiness in preparation for applications that will be due in November and December. So I'm trying to talk with UMass as well as Amherst College and another local community college to try and see if we can get someone in. And that, I will be honest, programming is still being developed. So if you all have any ideas, or if anybody listening in the audience has any ideas, send me an email. I'm totally open to it. And we're trying to do it for the early release day in October. So that way, kids will have that time for the early release day, get some food, maybe learn something about college, and then obviously go do whatever it is that they're doing normally. So that date is October 29th. And that is all I have.
So, oh,
Oh, that's okay. You could have gone first. Okay. So I am extremely concerned about 2 DEI staff having, coming to our committee and now also going to the reparations committee. I don't know really if Philip, you can respond to this, but I just wanted to raise it amongst us since we're going to go in front of town council. Um, it seems that everyone seems to be pretty gung-ho in supporting the development of working groups, committees, reports, but when it comes to the actual supporting of action, that seems to lag behind. And I am just really concerned about, the really thin staff to support what supposedly town council and the town manager feel or state are important values for this town. So I just wanted to note that. I really think we need to raise this with town council when we go, that there needs to be more staff or designated town council members that make sure things happen, and the town is held accountable when they don't happen, not the town staff that are so thinly spread, in being responsible for ensuring there's equity, inclusion, and justice in this in the town.
Thanks, Erica. Very true, and that goes, to CREST too. We need to make sure that there's funding and staffing for both. Because, CREST should also have additional hours than just the hours that they have. But instead of increasing staff, what they're doing is decreasing staff, like in terms of what happened when the town, the town manager's recommendation to freeze CREST's position. So, I mean, there you go. But for DEI also, I wasn't able to look at the end of the year report, but I'm wondering if we can like add it to our next month's agenda, just a packet, I mean, so that then it can be there. And then, everyone can make sure to kind of look at it. Because I think when it gets to our packet, we're more like focused to kind of like, read through some of those. And also, Philip, if we can get like, I know you send always the newsletter, and I was able to get to it this month, but maybe we could also, like what we're doing with CREST, but include the DEI newsletter in the packet too. Because
Yeah, that's not a problem.
yeah, because then it kind of centers it. And let me see what else. No, I think I'll just stop there now because I know we're kind of a little bit time crunch, so.
You would think I would know how to unmute myself, but I don't. I apologize. So should we move on to the Liberatory Visioning Project? Or Everald, would you prefer that we hit some of the like planning stuff in terms of the retreat and your Everald, you're not muted. Now you're muted.
Now, I was gonna say we should go into the literary stuff because Lizette is not here, and she did say she wasn't gonna be here tonight. I'm not sure if we should plan without her being here.
Excellent point. All right, so
Well, what about the meeting with the town council? Do you want us to talk about that though? with you?
Yes, let's actually talk about that.
oh,
So do we actually are on their agenda?
Mhm.
No, we
So
are.
Allegra, do you want to go and then I can fill in?
sure. So we met with Lynn and Hala, who is our liaison, and kind of talked about what we want to talk about at the meeting. And then there was Lynn was supposed to get back to us with there was at one point like 7 items that they had talked about ad nauseum and agreed to kind of move forward with, and I'm trying to think if that was like born out of the July 20th, or I mean July 5th, 2022, after that instant, and when they really kind of pinpointed some of the things they would maybe work on. So mean, Deborah and I reiterated, like, no, we want to talk about all of the CSWG recommendations. And so I'm not sure exactly what our second meeting is supposed to be about, other than maybe getting us that piece of information, that document. But November 3rd was a tentative date for us to be on the agenda. That is a Monday. It is, I think, the day before the town elections. And it gives us a little over, or I guess a little less than 2 months to get prepared, but we would want to make sure we had a PowerPoint ready, and I think we had envisioned all of us being present, and maybe Deborah and I giving the main presentation, but all of us being able to express our viewpoints and concerns and frustrations. And so that was kind of where we landed. Deborah, I don't know if I left anything out or
Yeah, I mean, the only thing was that, we kind of went over, as like we said, all of the CSWG recommendations, even though Lynn was kind of like, talking more about whatever they had adopted and the matrix that they had come up with, which again, we were just like, well, can you share that with us? Because that would be interesting to see, what the town council came up with in terms of their matrix and what they adopted. But as like we said we want to look at all of the recommendations, as well as anything else that is of concern in the community, right? So like ICE and anything else going on, we want to discuss it, when we come up on the town council. And yeah, we do want to like do a PowerPoint, Allegra and I can do the presentation, but we want all of us there, right? As a united, group, and also for all of us to be after we do the presentation, for all of us to be willing to answer questions, like to engage in a Q&A with them, and for all of us to be able to answer questions, not just Allegra and I, right, because we're a committee, so that we can kind of get our points across and really discuss. We also had talked about, because I had brought up, the fact that we don't have a budget, CSWG doesn't have a budget, and that we don't get, utilized like we should be getting utilized per our charge by the town council as an advisory group to the town council and town manager and all the other town, departments. And, she basically stated, oh, you need to bring that up too. So bring that up to the town council in terms of the fact that we don't have a budget and things like that, because I said that that's not okay for us to be kind of begging and pleading for food or to pay for facilitator when we have our retreats, or if we want to do town forums, right, and things like that. Why are we having to beg and plead if we're an advisory group to the town council and to these other departments? So so those are some of the things, but as Allegra was saying, it is kind of frustrating right now that we have to have this first pre-meeting. And now, instead of just saying what the date is that we'll be on with the town council, because we want plenty of time to prepare. And we told her that, we want to have time to prepare our presentation, to make sure we all on the same page about what it is that we want to discuss, besides obviously the recommendations and things like that. And so we want to have that day on so that we have plenty of time to prepare. But yet, we still haven't gotten it. What we did get from Lynn was, oh, let's meet again, and she proposed a date where Allegra and I aren't even available. So, so this is just, protracting again and continuing and things like that, which is frustrating because, all of these issues are very urgent to our community, right? To our community members who are contacting us and letting us know that they want this brought forward to the town council, and yet we still haven't been able to get a date. So that's where things are at. I don't know if anyone else has any suggestions, comments, concerns.
Is she going to share with you the things that she said the town has adopted?
Yeah, she was supposed to. She said she was going to share it with us, and we haven't received that either. Yeah.
And the meeting that we're trying to be on, is that a dedicated meeting to hear from Chris, or will there be other town council items on there as well?
I
Well, it'll
imagine
probably be
others.
Yeah, there'll be others. So we would be one of the agenda items,
Okay.
which I'm assuming we'll get told, okay, you have this amount of time to do your presentation and Q&A. But of course, Allegra and I will definitely push back. Let's say if they say, oh, you have 5 minutes, we're gonna be like, no, you know what I'm saying? That's not gonna work. We need at least, I don't know, like 20, 25 minutes, like 10 minutes to do our presentation at least, and then 10 to 15 minutes to engage in Q&A or something like that, something along those lines, I would think. Because I understand that obviously they're super busy, but we need at least some time to engage with them, and 5 minutes is not gonna work.
Agree. So when is the next, I know you said you guys weren't available, so there's no second meeting with her scheduled yet?
Not scheduled, no. I didn't have a chance to respond to
Yeah.
give some dates.
Yeah, we just let her know we weren't available. Well, I think the ball was back in her court because we were like, we're not available on the date that she said for us to again meet with her for this pre-meeting. And so she hasn't proposed any other dates, times for us to meet.
Erica.
So one of the things that I think might be also helpful is that since the League of Women's Voters is also doing sort of an update and progress regarding the Community Safety Working Group recommendations, we should make sure that we take a look at that as well, because that gives us even more support, as well as linking to Dr. Love's report and the DI end of the year report and the Tory report, because we have so many reports stating what we want the town to look like, and it's not moving forward, or it's moving forward very slowly. It's like 1 step forward to 10 steps backwards. So I'm absolutely on board with helping you guys with the PowerPoints, being ready to answer questions, even taking pieces. If you want us to do different pieces, we can do that as well. I think it'll be so critical. I also think that we should propose that any official committee of this town has the right to request a meeting to be on the agenda for at least 20 minutes, if not half an hour, on the agenda twice a year, and that the town council has to respond to us and give us a time, because this is ridiculous. I mean, we're an official town meeting, and then we have to beg to be on the agenda.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's definitely true. And I think you're right. I think like all of these reports keep saying the same thing, right? That what the town is looking for, which is an inclusive, more inclusive, just town, right? Where all our community members feel safe, and it's not just safe for some and not others. And all of these multiple reports, which again, we need to point to, you're absolutely right, Erica, we need to weave that into our presentation to again just reiterate, because one of the things, and I remember when I was on Rob and stuff like that on the committee, one of the things is that in terms of the resistance is that people like to say, oh, whatever CSWG did, all of the data that we gathered, oh, that's out of date. No one really, that has changed and things like that. But now these reports that are all current, quote unquote, are restating what CSWG did and what CSWG had already reported on. And it is just reaffirming, those same recommendations. Because when we do look back, right, and I'm glad that the League of Women Racial Justice Committee a group is looking at that, because it's like to state a lot of the recommendations haven't been adopted, right? Even in the visioning report, it's saying we need a space. We need a space for BIPOC people to be able to go and feel safe and be able to gather. And our young people need a space to be able to gather and things like that. So a lot of the recommendations that have not been adopted, the vision report again talked about resident oversight board, having a oversight board to oversee the police, because people still do not have that type of relationship with the police, do not trust the police, especially BIPOC communities. And, but then when I'm out in the community, right, when we're talking to people who are police friendly or even the police, they're saying, you're making this up, Deborah. This is not true. You're the one that has a problem with us and things like that. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's almost kind of like deaf tone, it's just like, tone deaf. You're just not wanting to listen. Just because you're friends with one person doesn't mean now that represents everyone. You know what I'm saying? There's people out there that do not feel safe with the police. So why aren't you willing to engage and discuss and deal with that issue? That's what I want to know, you know? So these are some of the things, like you said, that we need to bring to the town council's attention, and we need to push and put the pressure on, because it's real. How many times do you have to say it? How many times do you have to report it in multiple reports for people to actually understand what's going on in this community? Unless, as I fear, is that people don't want the change, right? They want things status quo. They want people that look like me and others to be marginalized, to be in vulnerable positions, and those that don't look like us to continue to be at the top and continue to be that have the power within this community, within our town and within our community, and continue to call the shots. That's the only thing that I can think. So, I mean, we're going to continue to engage with Lynn, and as soon as we have a date. But maybe what we can do, though, is in preparation, we need to start thinking, like what you said, Erica, maybe on while we're waiting for a meeting, we should start already getting ready for the presentation. So maybe Allegra and I can start working on the PowerPoint. And then Erica, if you could start looking at those different reports and seeing, you know, what we can, you know, different passages that we can quote from them and really state them and things like that. Because we'll work on obviously the CSWG recommendations and things like that, and just start plugging those in, because that's going to be, you know, the main things that we're going to be putting in the presentation. And then we can go from there. And then, you know, Everald, I know obviously your expertise in terms of immigration and things like that, because I you know, we need to bring it up. I mean, I get it. You know, why some people might not say, hey, we need to stay under the radar, but we can't stay under the radar too, because people need to know that these matters, these, you know, in terms of immigration and ICE, that this matters in this town. So if we're under the radar, people are not going to know that this is something that's important, that is critical for the town, you know? So I'm sorry. It's just like, if we're afraid to kind of put it out there, then it's going to be a problem, you know? So we do need to, I get it. We need to be obviously, you know, we need to do it in a way that makes sense. That's going to be helpful, but we still need to do it.
And I think it'll be very helpful. So I hope you guys follow up with her on seeing what they deemed as having adopted, so we can look at that and tailor some of what we present to say, okay, this is what the town says they've adopted, and here are some concerns or appreciation for that, or here are where you need to build things you need to build on, or, you know, things like that. So, and I want to say this before I have to jump off, but I think it was a back to school event, and I ran into Mindy Dome, and I was talking about Cress, and in uncertain terms, she did say that when the initial money was given for Cress, she was very clear with the town of Amherst that they're going to have to fund it after the money runs out. So there was notice given. So I think we need to articulate that as well, to say, okay, you know, you had started money, you were put on notice that the town was supposed to fund this after the fact, and okay, what has the town done in that regard? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Good, thank you.
Thanks for that.
All right, Everett, so we'll see you on the 8th, October 8th, if we don't see you at the block party and on Crest Day and around town.
I should be there. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
but have a good night.
You too.
Okay.
Good one.
Bye.
So do we want to, where do you think we should go from here, Allegra?
So, I mean, I'll just be upfront. I don't have an update about Rob. I haven't heard that it's completed its review with legal or anything like that, so I don't know when that, my understanding again is that there would be a presentation of that information to the town council. And again, my understanding is that our group could not agree on one model, so Paul was gonna choose his favorite of the two that we came up with, which again is a concern potentially. And I think, I don't know if I'm willing to push for a Rob that isn't the Rob that we want. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there because I think one is not at all what was the vision. And that is the one that I would imagine would be more favorable to the police and to town people that are okay with the status quo, like you said, Deborah. So I think that will be something we'll have to think about and talk about when we have the official understanding of what is being presented as the Rob to go forward. And it's really disappointing that, I don't know, that I think that the CSWG recommendations had been very watered down, even in the version that was more favorable to what it was. So I apologize for my disheartenedness on that, but that's kind of where I am. And we don't have any other update on the Youth Empowerment Center either. So
Yeah, so, well, let me, in terms of the resident oversight board, I just want to echo what you're saying, and really, say it just like you said, which is that will not be okay. For the town manager to make the decision and pick one over the other, is not okay. From what you had told us, and I remember when I was part of that committee, before you, it was to present two. That's what we had discussed, right? If at the end of the day we weren't in agreement with presenting one, then it would be to present two proposals to the town council, not to the town manager to make a decision as to which one he would bring to the town council. So if the town council ends up making a decision, obviously, like you said, to present the proposal where Rob would be weaker, which would be the review, as a review board as opposed to an investigatory board, then that would be a definite problem. Because again, I don't even think he should be involved in any of it. He should present both to the town council and then have the discussions there, have the presentations, have the discussions there, and then go from there, as opposed to him making those decisions. So that's going to be definitely problematic. Did we want to have any discussion though on the visioning session report?
I'd love to hear a little bit more about, well, I guess, I don't know if there was going to be any presentation or if it was more of us just talking about it.
Yeah, because that was, I was gonna say that was a DI in collaboration. I know Barbara Love was the main facilitator and trainer, but I know it was in collaboration with DI. So I don't know, Philip, if you had any updates on it.
I don't have any updates, and I'm sorry if I missed something that I was to give a presentation, but I can give you background information just so there was about 20 sessions that we did with Dr. Love through various groups from seniors to youth to the unhoused populations to seniors and various other groups, hearing from them. And we, in every session, kind of just did a main focus of what does a just, equitable, and inclusive Amherst look like to you, was the general question that was asked to start out in every conversation. And from there, it was really guided on to what was brought up. So facilitators were trained to, kind of get people on track in terms of, if something was brought up that wasn't necessarily productive or wasn't necessarily the goal of hearing out what needs to happen. And terms of like, well, we want this report to be reflective of what's happening. What do you want to see in Amherst? What is it that needs to still happen? And so, if someone was talking about, I don't know, pricing of the parking tickets or something like that, we certainly noted it down and said, that's something to note down, but we're not going to go into a deeper conversation as to why that's the price of it. And so that's like an example of facilitators were then trained to kind of guide the conversation. But for the most part, it was an open forum and anybody and everybody had the room to talk. And we kind of did a circle in terms of, allowing space to talk, because I think that the facilitation style of Dr. Love, hearing every single voice is important. And so in doing so, even asking someone that doesn't have anything to say, but giving them the space to say like, oh, we haven't shared, would you like to share in this round? And the answer could be no. The answer could be, yeah, I have this. So whatever it is. So really hearing out from people. And I think the report highlights already topics that were talked about in town, and just really highlights the need for initiatives that have already been brought up in terms of that.
Erica?
I think the report is pretty comprehensive in terms of the recommendations in areas. It talks about policy, it talks about practice, it talks about affordable housing, that which is interesting because you guys are going to the Amherst Municipal Affordable Housing Trust to talk about that piece. So I'm curious about, are you waiting to be invited by different committees or different parts of the town to talk about the report? Or let me just say what I would have loved to have seen, and this is not in your hands, is for the town manager, who is the head of the town, leader of the town, or town council, Lynn, read this report and talk about how it's actually going to be enacted. What are the steps that both the town and the town council are going to take to really ensure that they're working towards the recommendations? Because I think they're pretty clear and comprehensive. And they, again, as Deborah said, affirm, our work, affirm the Human Rights Commission, affirm Reparations Committee. It affirms all the work that in the voices that people have been raising for a long time. And if it doesn't, I mean, if it's just voluntary, you get to read it if you want, you get to think about it when you feel like it. It talks about equity, especially around resources. And this is what we try to raise around CRESS. When it came down to 2 positions out of 18 and 1 position out of 45, that's not equity. And this is the practice. You put your money where your mouth is, you put your resources where, you say your values are in terms of equity. And if the town doesn't understand what equity means in justice, why we are on these committees? Why do we keep on creating these reports? So, I'm saying a lot, but, and I'm speaking to the choir here, but we've got to find a way to hold the town council accountable. One way may be that we now have elections coming up and we have to come up with questions and we have to talk to the candidates and say, look, we have all of this data here from the people who live here, who are voicing what they want to see Amherst to be like. What are you going to do about it? How, where do you stand in this? So, I'm just telling you what you probably are thinking too, but I just need to put it out there.
Yep, that's definitely fair. I'll answer. We sent the report to the town manager, obviously, before we made it public, as we do with everything. And it is my thought that he is sending it over to town council to get it on there. I don't know if that has happened yet, but that is certainly something that he has said that will happen. And in terms of people inviting us, we would love for people to invite us and talk about it. That's kind of how this conversation started with the Affordable Housing Trust. Is their staff liaison, who's a colleague of ours in the town, said, I read the report, I reached out. He reached out and said he'd love to have us talk about it in terms of affordable housing and just give us presentation of what was heard and all that. So yeah, I think if any other town board would like us to come and give a quick little presentation to help them guide their work, we are more than welcome and willing to do so.
So for me, you know, I just want to say that this report, as well as I know Indy also wrote an article and everything, really kind of showcasing how this report affirms again, right? CSWG recommendations, affirms our work, you know, CSWGC, but also kind of, you know, when you're talking about the changes and recommendations, I know you all talked to over 250 people in regards to this, as well as surveys and so on and so forth. You know, just to kind of, you know, to showcase, right, that you're address historical harm, root causes, and contemporary aggressions, you know, recognizing that safety concerns for Black and Brown residents extend beyond crime to include experiences of discrimination and profiling, tackling systemic racism and discrimination that contributes to safety concerns. I mean, those are things that we've been talking ad nauseum. You know, we've been talking for the police department, right, in terms of the CSWG Part B recommendations in terms of their policies and things like that, and really being an actively anti-racist department, where again, you know, I get the resistance from the police department and other departments in town that basically are like, Deborah, you're just making that up. You're the only one that thinks that. No, I'm not the only one that thinks that. There's a lot of people in our town that thinks that. And this report, again, showcases that. Community engagement, spaces and support, creation of the BIPOC Cultural Center and Youth Center as a safe gathering space. Again, reaffirming what CSWG had said, you know, bringing back centers like the Boys and the Girls Club, having welcoming environments for immigrants and newcomers. This is what our people are saying. But again, maybe they're not the people, I guess, are they not the people that have the money in the town? And then that's why it's falling on deaf ears? Why are we having to report these things over and over again? You know, so community dialogue, making sure over here that to host regular community visioning meetings, because people want a sense, and it says in this document over and over again, a sense of belonging, a sense of being heard, a sense of being listened to. You know, so why is it that the town is not willing to take the steps? You know, community oversight and accountability, develop steps to ensure greater representation and accountability. People want to be heard. They want to. And to implement a truly independent resident oversight board for institutions such as the police department, ensuring that members are selected by the community, not just appointed by the town manager. Resident oversight boards or committees should be composed of diverse community members to oversee equity initiative, public safety, and municipal accountability. Again, it's not just CSIJC that's saying these things. Others are talking about this. And then obviously talking about, you know, community safety working group in terms of, you know, funding the CSWG recommendations, you know, and creating cultural and societal change, more around addressing financial aspects, you know, for our education, for our young people, economic justice and resource allocation, housing, as we've talked about. So all the different things that we've discussed. It's just like, you know, how many times do we need to say this for the town to listen before, again, we hear that obviously it's not important what we're discussing. You know, creating strategies to address the lack of trust between police and Black and brown communities. How many times do we have to say that? How many times do we have to write that up? Without, again, you know, and I've heard it even from town council members who, even when these things come up in these reports, they disregard or that it's not valid. Why is that the case? I guess we're supposed to just say like what it was, like what I remember when I was here, you know, as a student, this is a happy valley. This is a happy valley. Yeah, happy valley for who? That's what I want to know, because all the people that have said that this is a happy valley don't look like me. I can guarantee you that. They've always been the ones to say, oh, my kids, yes, they loved it. Oh, yeah, ooh, ooh, ooh. Whereas my kids in the education system had to deal with being called the N-word. It had to be dealing with a bunch of other things within the system, okay? When they were very young, had to be dealing with those things, okay? Because of the color of their skin and and what they look like, right? So that's what I'm saying. Happy Valley for who?
So, I mean, I think just thinking about how frustrating it is that this is the fifth or sixth report that has been written since 2020. And again, each piece like adds another layer and makes a richer tapestry about it. But like, why do people have to keep on saying, this is what we need, this is what we want, this is how we'd like to get there? And I mean, I'm just, again, thinking back to if we're presenting to town council and we have this PowerPoint, and if we say like, you know, CSWG recommendation A to fund Crest fully with this, and then you note the LEAP report 2021, this report 2020, whatever year we're in 2025, you know, the in-between report, the
Seventh gen,
seven gen, the AHRA reports, like all of those are different years. And they're saying the same thing and supporting the same things, maybe coming at it from a little bit of a different angle. But it's, you can't just say, no, this doesn't exist or this is old data. It's continually being talked about and continually reiterating what the CSWG originally put forward.
Oh, and what Deborah, remember what Deborah, Rabbi Deborah also
Mhm.
put out too,
Yes,
in regards to why we needed to put a resident oversight board, because she had done all of those.
right. What was that, 2023?
Yeah, it was 2023. So it's just like every year there's basically a report saying virtually the same things, and which get disregarded. So we have to make sure, Erica, to include that too,
Right.
when we're stating all these reports from all these different.
But I do think it would be worthwhile, and maybe we partner with the league on this to like come up with a questionnaire for candidates, or get crazy and try and sponsor our own separate like debate particular to these issues, particular to issues of racial justice. And we can talk about stuff like immigration at that, and we can talk about things that, you know, aren't the roads and aren't, you know, capital project funding that, you know, is everybody going to show up to that kind of debate, or is it just going to be certain candidates? And are those the candidates that, you know, not saying that we make an endorsement or anything, but you know, that's, I think it can be telling to see who shows up to what, and how prepared they are and what they actually can contribute to a conversation like that. So it's, I mean, again, it's a short election season. The election's in less than 2 months, but it's also, again, a lot of people last time around said they supported Cress. They loved Cress, so they were such big proponents of it. Nobody was saving Cress when they got their positions frozen. You know, there were 3 people that voted against the budget, and you know, I'm sorry to be a little bit tongue in cheek right now, but you know, I want to see somebody who will walk that walk, not in September and October of an odd year, because that's when the election is about to happen. And are there any besides Alicia and Hal that are consistent? So anyway, that was my little rant, but again, there is, I think one piece that I saw that was interesting was like building youth political action as well. And, you know, I think there have been some really engaged kids that have been involved in committees and involved in, you know, politics, and getting other kids to, you know, show up to town meetings and talk about issues, whether it's at the schools or, you know, there was a group of kids who were coming regularly and supporting Crest too. So I do think that's, you know, and we have this one slot that's supposed to be for a youth member, right? And like that I appreciate the importance of having somebody of a younger generation who maybe is being more impacted or impacted in different ways than we're seeing. And it is also hard to get that. It's hard to get and maintain somebody on a committee because can be a lot of work, and it also, like, if you're a teenager, you've got a lot of stuff going on. So I would like to see that recommendation kind of thought out and readdressed again when hopefully we'll have some people apply to be on the committee. But again, that's another thing that we haven't really gotten much of an answer on. So.
But that's a great idea, like in terms of possibly, you know, and I don't know if it's us, CSIGC, but also, or maybe talking to some other groups like the League of Women. I know they do something, but maybe the racial justice, League of Women Racial Justice Group to kind of put something on like that. You know what I'm saying? Some type of forum, not necessary to endorse anyone, but just to see where are you at with these issues, you know, like get a sense of these issues that have been, you know, repeated over and over again in all of these reports. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we I don't even think we need a survey. All we need is to kind of grab whatever's been already in all these reports and pose those questions to them, you know, and to see where are you at? Where are you at with these issues? You know, because like you said, you know, are you really saying this just to get elected? Or are you saying this because you actually mean it? You know, and it's easy to find out who actually means it and who is just there, you know, being performative, right, for the moment, and things like that. So, yeah, so I think that could be something that we could, you know, bring forward to see if someone can put on. Because I'd be interested in finding out what these candidates are about. Because I know we're all resident members. So why would we want them there if they're not really about these issues, which is about belonging, about our residents fully belonging to our town?
Erica.
I know District 1 Neighborhood Association is going to put on a forum, but this is for candidates who are running for District 1 and at-large candidates. They thought they were going to do it in October, but it looks like they're going to push it back a little bit. So I'll let everybody know when that's happening. But I definitely agree, we should be going to whatever forums are out there, or maybe even helping whoever's doing them. I'm actually on DONA. The only problem is I'm going to be away from the 17th to October 13th. But you know, I have my phone, my email, and, you know, in touch with them. But it looks like the forum will be happening after I come back. So I will definitely be at that one.
Yeah, if you can share that, and that goes for anyone else, you know, if you all know of any other forums, things like that. I think right now it's important for us to keep each other updated and sharing these information, so that doesn't mean all of us have to go to all the forums. We can also just kind of divide, and, you know, maybe I go to this one and Erica, you go to that one, Allegra, you go to that one, and then we report back, you know what I'm saying? So that then we get a sense of who's saying what and what folks are about. I think we
Any
can go to
other-
public comment. Public comment.
So I just want to clarify in terms of retreat planning, it sounds like we are not going to do that tonight because we don't have two members, so we can't decide on the date. Did we decide on a date?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because since
Sorry.
since Lisette is not, and I think, I mean, that we could do, like, just to figure out a date for retreat. Can we do that on an email?
That would be
Not like we're
fine.
taking a vote or anything
Right.
on anything. It's
Yeah.
just trying to come up with a date
A date. Yeah.
for
And
retreat. Right,
Erica.
Philip?
Yeah, I would just recommend doing a doodle poll so that
Yeah.
way it's easy. Yeah.
Exactly, like do the doodle. Because does anyone know how to do the doodle? Do the doodle?
I think I've done it before. I can figure it out.
Yeah,
I
and then we
say.
could just pick some date. Let me see, because now, I mean, obviously, I mean, probably would have to meet in November, I'm
Yeah.
thinking, because we need at least October to kind of talk about more specifics. So
Right.
maybe some dates in November, Allegra,
Okay.
some Saturdays. I guess we're
Yeah.
sticking with Saturdays, right? Let's just stick with, what did we do, 10 to 1 or something? Or
Yes. Actually, I think it was 9, but
Okay.
maybe we should do 9:15 just to make sure. But everybody was on time.
We
Yeah.
did 9 to 1.
Yeah, let's do 9 to 1, and then we can obviously start at 9:15 or whatever. Let's just do 9 to 1.
All right, so maybe like either the 8th or the 15th or the 22nd. I know the 29th would be the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, so that wouldn't work.
So that would
Yeah.
be tricky. Erica. So I'll just send out a poll.
Yeah, because we don't want the first because that's the day after like Halloween. So don't want that. So yeah, the 8th, 15th, 22nd.
I just want to thank Philip because he was able to get approval for us to have some funding for food, not for facilitator, which again, I think we should raise with town council.
Oh, I already did
And-
actually. Well, I raised the facilitator with the town manager though, in the meantime.
Okay.
We'll raise it
Yeah.
with the town council for more kind of like ongoing budget, but
Yep.
I still raise it at town manager. So the blurb
Perfect.
that you sent me around our facilitator that we had at our last retreat,
Yep.
I basically forwarded it to the town manager and I said, we want to get some type of stipend or something to be able to
Perfect.
pay a facilitator at our next retreat. So we'll wait to see what he says.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I just want to also thank Camille who tried, but it seems like, again, we have to so much advocate for real budgets, both for CRES and for DEI and for us, because it's ridiculous begging and they have to figure out how to manage our requests. So just affirm that we're going to do that, the town council.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I
an
think,
agenda item on there.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the items that we're going to be bringing up.
and I think one thing we put on our agenda tonight was a budget for us.
Mm.
And I think that we should try and get that in November. I mean, I know that's when the budgeting cycle starts, but like
Right.
I can't imagine we're asking for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It would be like
I don't even know.
a couple grand at the most, I
Yeah.
imagine. Like, and that again would be for community events and any kind of anything to support the work
Yeah.
that we're doing. And, I
Mhm.
think primarily facilitator and
Yeah, but let's say
aesthetics.
that we wanted to do a town forum and wanted to have like a Dr. Love there, you know what I'm saying? Or something like that. I'm just bringing her up just because we know her, but I'm saying if we wanted to have a speaker or something like that, right? That we heard from the community that they want to have there, we should have a budget for that.
Mhm. So, I mean, I think I could take a stab at drafting something up, and then share it around so that
Mhm.
we can have something to look at our next meeting. I mean,
Okay.
Question on my end for your all's retreat. Do you want a staff member there? And I'm only asking because I think I am busy doing Rise at that time that you all said on those days. I have to check with the schedule there. I think it ends on the 15th,
okay. Um,
and that's from 9 to 11.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to kind of decide because one of the things, I mean, last time, as long as we had all the things there, we just had our own kind of retreat. But we were, we don't know if we wanted to invite like obviously DI and CRES to kind of even participate on our next retreat. So that's something we still wanted to discuss.
Okay, that's fair. Just let us know and then we'll figure it out. And from that, because like the Human Rights Commission has us be there. And so if it's
Mhm.
that type of commitment, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I think if we're going to continue the conversation we had last time, then it won't be, it will be just us again. But I think it's something we need to kind of decide.
Yeah, I would think that I think we just started really getting to know each other and how we were working, and we really came up with some concrete first steps for this sort of quarter. I would agree that we need to sort of check in with each other how we've done with what we came up with in terms of action plan. But I absolutely do see having both representation from DI and CRES, especially to prepare for the budget before it even the town council or the town manager thinks about it, because we need to be in front of that budget for next year.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
um, So shall we move on to public comment? All right. So again, if you could use the raise hand function and we will bring you on into the room. I see 2 hands up right now. I'm going to bring Miss, nope, just kidding. I'm going to bring Martha back into the room.
All right, thank you, Martha Hanner from District 5. I just wanted to just say a couple of things related to some of the discussion tonight. First of all, consider tabling at the Crest Day event, because that might be an opportunity for you folks to try to recruit some new candidates to join CSSJC, or at least to publicize what you do, maybe a brochure to hand out or something. Would be a good opportunity. All right. Then the budget process. I mean, I think we all saw last year that the budget process that was been set up by the town council charter and so on really is flawed. And I remind you that the Charter Review Commission is at work, and I would recommend that you folks contact them and make some inputs about the challenges of the budget, because it really seemed, you know, we failed to get the attention of the town council, and they felt that they, you know, by law are unable to raise the town manager's budget. And so, you know, Crest, we had no success with that. And it was really the process that's flawed. And we really need to think about that real carefully. And then third, Everald's comment about how he talked to Mindy Dom about the original grant that was given to Crest to get it started. And she stressed that it was a grant for startup, and then the town was expected to take it over. Well, Paul had a cup of joe down at Atkins in July with Crest, and the only public members that showed up there were 4 of us from the League's Racial Justice Committee, and then Lynn Griesemer, I think Nick Grabby was there, and maybe one other person. And I specifically asked, when he said he'd cut 2 positions, you know, from Crest, I said, no, you've cut 3. And he said, oh, well, that was just a grant. And I said, no, that the whole purpose of the grant was a startup, and then the expectation was that the town would take it over. And he just pushed back and said, no, that's only grant funded. And so, you know, we really do have some educating to do here. But I think we're going to have lots of ammunition. And I also want to stress that you all should be telling all of your constituents, and Deborah, your whole long mailing list, and everybody, that everybody should be talking to their individual town councilors and individual town council candidates, because the one-on-one conversations really, I think, are the best way to help influence people. And we really need to spend October doing that. So thank you all. And as I say, we might have an open invitation for any of you who would like to reach out to our Racial Justice Committee for conversations. Please do so in these next few weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I'm going to bring Miss Pat in.
Good evening. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I want to thank all of you. While I joined late, but I'm so grateful that you all are working collaboratively. I liked everything that you guys said tonight. I kind of echoing all of them. This also includes, you know, staff Philip and also Camille. Thank you guys. I know your job is very hard, and you guys don't have enough support at your departments. Thank you all for what you're doing. I have some comments to make, and some of them will be controversial. People know me for that. I speak my mind. So for the two co-chairs, thank you for meeting with Lynn. That's the only way. You just have to push and make sure that the town council and the town manager hears you guys. So I'm glad that it's happening. It seems to me maybe it's a coincidence, but it seems like during election season, that's when the town council wants to pretend like they care about social justice. I challenge anyone to go back 2 years ago. It was around this time too, that they're acting like, yeah, Crest, yeah, DEI. So 2 more years in election period, yeah. And, they want CSSJC to come and do presentation a night before election. Go figure. So I also want to comment on all the reports. I mean, you guys have, discussed it in depth. So I want to wear my business hat. Our town is sort of like a business organization. And when they don't want to do anything, they stall it. They just want to do, we're doing reports, we're doing this, the other ones are like, that is outdated. More report. What it saddens me tonight to listen that Dr. Barbara Love, world-renowned academia, did a research, and we still don't know if our town government is going to implement it or do anything. Like, it's so sad, And when people speak up, you get retaliated against. And I want to say this. I think some people would like to join CSSJC, but they're scared of retaliation. And people have level of, what, risk they want to take. Because I do hear from people like, they like what CSSJC is doing, but some people are not bold enough to speak their mind. So I want to thank you guys for speaking for us. And therefore, police to tell you that you're just making it up. I'm here to say publicly, you're not making anything up. We don't trust the police, period. And I come from family of police. So it's not like I'm a police hater, but it's just the history. Okay. And this brings me to the next, is it the monthly thing that Paul does with different departments, and this time is with police, and it's going to be happening at Village Park. I have very mixed feelings about that, and I've spoken to a couple people who live over there. They don't even know that that's happening, and it's very triggering for them. Why have police talk in an apartment that is over surveilled and policed? Why not do it in town common? What message is our town manager sending? He doesn't get it. I'll be quick. I'm almost done. So I want to use this opportunity to really congratulate 10, amazing women residents who were recognized last month in Springfield. Her legacy, Western Mass Women in Civic Leadership. There were about 80 women that were recognized. And I just want to read very quickly 10 residents, 10 Ames residents who were also nominated and recognized, but some of them couldn't make it. So Deborah Ferrara was in attendance. Allegra couldn't make it. We have some elected officials who were recognized: Alicia Walker, Jennifer Shaw of school committee, Bridget Hines couldn't make it, Vera Duamini attended. Our Brianna Owen couldn't make it. Michelle Miller, Bridget Hines, yeah, Katie Ladowski, and also Deb Neboa. I just want to congratulate because I know more women deserve the recognition, but people stick out their neck out there to really stick true to really speak the truth. And it feels good, to be recognized for the work you all are doing. Thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Pat,
Yeah.
Thank you,
for the
Ms.
work you're doing.
Mhm.
Um, Not seeing any other hands up for public comment. All right, so I think we are through the agenda.
Well, I want to just add that Miss Pat was also one of the recognized for that event, and we're always very thankful for her contributions and everything that she does for the Amherst community, and that she still continues to have that path and that vision and that fight to make Amherst a truly diverse, equitable, socially just, safe community. And even when I say Amherst, I think about the vision report too, which was very thorough, where they even said, and even the name Amherst, which we still need to tackle. The fact that Amherst hasn't changed its name, right? And its name is founded in the root of killings and mass murder and things like that being named after Jeffrey Amherst, which is a slap in the face to our indigenous population here in Amherst. So here we go, right? Keep on saying that name over and over and over again. Every time I say it inside, I cringe, but it was brought up in the report, which I was very happy to see.
The work continues.
Never ending.
Right. Well, I couldn't think of people I'm more happy to walk alongside in it. So thank you again for your consistency in showing up. I know it can get frustrating, but I am very pleased with where this committee is right now and where our community supporters are with us. So until next time, I suppose, which will be October 8th. I believe Erica has her hand up.
Sorry, items not anticipated. I just
Yes.
have a question about recruitment. I know we still have spaces. And I'm wondering if maybe we need to have a discussion with people who work with youth about how to recruit youth. Possibly, is it a stipend? Because, youth, they have lots of things going on or they have to work. Is it somebody, maybe possibly Student Government Association from the high schools? Just young, people who work with young people, ideas about how we possibly could get their voices heard. And if this time doesn't work, maybe meeting with them as they could be an advisor to this group. But I think we need to have a discussion on how do we become more inclusive of young people's voices.
I appreciate that, Erica, and I think that's a good idea to reach out to some of the people that we know who work with youth, and if we can't have somebody attending the meetings, is there a liaison or somebody like that? So Paul had told me that there are 2 current people who have filled out the community activity form in 2025 and named this committee, both of whom are college students, which is not a bad thing at any, but we also have not had any good luck with our most recent college student members. I think our last one, Angelique, never came to a meeting, and the one before that had come to a few and then didn't come for a long time. So you know, I appreciate the sentiment of trying to encourage, you know, college students to get involved in the local community. And I think the conversation was, I wouldn't appoint 2 college students to the same committee at this point from Paul's perspective. And I said back to him, you know, that makes sense. I think to try and widen the applicant pool a little bit if we can, and try and get interviews scheduled when we have more people so that we can fill multiple spots at once. Because as of right now, we do have a quora. I mean, we have, well, if we are looking at 3 out of 5 as opposed to 5 out of 7, if that's how it's supposed to work, then, you know, I think we're okay. And even with 5, we're still okay. But it does get dicey if somebody misses a meeting.
Well, or like during the summer when we're on vacation and stuff like that, then we don't have a quorum to vote, you know, so.
So I think figuring out if we could get somebody from the high school would be great. I mean, I think there could be benefits in terms of like school applications if you're applying to colleges to say that you were a member of a town board could be a draw. I mean, different kind of experience. But I wonder if there's any of the workshops that are coming up through DEI, if that's some, place that it could be advertised. I know that you can't specifically like be recruiting people or something, but I can't remember what the rule was around that, but
I mean, it's not recruiting if we're just highlighting that you all are looking for someone, that we can generally say that.
yeah, okay. Because I do think that would be helpful. Or even if like there are kids who had signed up for previous things, like previous workshops and stuff, like if there is an email list or if it can go out in the newsletter or something,
I would also say it would be a really good idea for during Crest Day if you wanted to put information out on a table and with contact so that people could reach you. And I know that Angela Mills has been going to different events and having a table to encourage people to register to vote and also to sign up for committees.
I mean, I think that the block party again could be another good place to have conversations with people around that kind of stuff. So no real update, no new members on the horizon, but that is again an item to continue thinking about. Any other items not anticipated? All right, then I think we can adjourn at 8:52. All right. Well done, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi,
Have a
everybody.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.